just want to talk to him.
Dad, this is ridiculous.
I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him.
Go fuck yourself.
The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
The team, go sports!
All right, can you just explain what's going on here?
Hi, thank you, I have no idea. Holy crap!
It was the spirit of Gonzo that led me down that slide to entertain the people. Are you not entertained by me doing my own stunts? It just went a little sideways as far as the last run down the slide, but I'm doing good, a little sore, but ready for some baseball.
Holy crap!
Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Folks, we are back. We are here to help you in championship weeks, or maybe you're in a semifinal. Doesn't matter. We're here. Why is my camera messed up? I am Zach McAdoo, your charming host, whatever the hell you want to call me. I am here with Henry John to my right, left, whatever. I'm pointing to my left, but he's to my right on screen. How you doing today, buddy?
Oh, we're doing great. It's already looking like it's going to be a wild ride, though, here in Week 17 with these fantasy championships. We got quarterback, ruffle shuffle, I feel like. All these teams are like Russell Wilson's getting cut, I guess, in a few months now all of a sudden. And then we got Amari Cooper's been ruled out for tonight, so we got Thursday Night Football implications. Imagine Amari Cooper scoring like 60 points last week, and now you don't have him the next week. Anybody who had Cooper is in these finals, so that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to help you out, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I was one of those guys who had Amari Cooper, and I was debating, do I pick up Elijah Moore, do I just go with Deontay Johnson? Maybe there's some help here coming our way, but before we get into that, the last thing we showed on this show last week was the matchup between Zach Espinosa and I in your 16-team league. Well, we got the results, and I am the father. If I can show the clip, is it on? I can't tell.
I don't see anything.
What the view? There we go. View. Can we view it now? Is it going? Sharing? Oh, because it's not there. Okay, there we go. Technical difficulties. Here we go. There it is. I won by 4 points. Thank you, Wandale Robinson. Way to go, buddy. Chase McLaughlin. All you other guys. And on the flip side of that coin, the reason why Henry's here is because he beat Zach Bruner last week. And so, your finals matchup is me versus that guy right there.
I'm not breaking, man. I'm straight poker face all the way here. You got nothing. You have nothing for my team.
We'll see. Well, yeah. Let's see. You've gone from Nick Mullins. It's the fact that our fantasy quarterbacks this week could come down to Easton Stick, and it was Nick Mullins for you, but now it's Tyrod Taylor because Nick Mullins has been benched. Like it's a whole QB carousel.
Might be Jared Stidham. I don't know. I'm one of those guys who had Russell Wilson going the whole year on this team, so benched him last week. I like Mullins' matchup a little bit better. Wilson actually, I think, scored more, but hindsight's 20/20, and Mullins is no longer the Vikings quarterback. There's another QB room that's shuffled around. Why don't we just start there? Like, look at what is going on around the league here with all these quarterbacks, right? Russell Wilson's done. Jared Stidham in for the Broncos this week. Okay, it's a favorable matchup against the Chargers. Then you got the Giants. I don't know how fantasy relevant the Giants offense is. Can Tyrod Taylor make them a little more relevant? Don't know. But Tyrod Taylor is starting. Big Tyrod fan. So, like, that's my heart move for me is to start Tyrod anywhere I can. Is it going to work out? I don't know. Then we got the
Commanders,
whatever they are now, Jacoby Brissett. He's coming in there for Sam Howell. Sam Howell was like a fantasy sneaky plug and play every single week for me. Like, I rode him to the best record in a league this season, and he's been so bad that now he's benched. Brissett's looked great when he's coming in relief. The Washington offensive line is a joke. So is it even going to matter? Justin Herbert's done. Like, it's around the league. The Vikings are a carousel. Like, Joe Flacco fever. Quarterbacks are insane this week. And I know that these are impacting teams because I'm impacted in multiple leagues, like where I'm playing for something this week, and all of a sudden my quarterback position is in flux.
So let me continue. Like weeks ago, like maybe a month or two ago, we were talking on the show about where Sam Howell was going to land on like how high rank he was going to be for drafts next year. And now he might not even be a starter for the Commanders. Like we were talking about, I had him like QB9, and he's probably going to be benched. Like how much of a turnaround is that? Like
it's insane, man. Like is Bryce Young a play this week against Jacksonville? He might be if you're in a pinch. Like that's a favorable matchup as well. But it's Bryce Young. He can't even see over his own offensive line. So. I don't know. There was one angle they showed in that game last week, just watching a little bit of it, and that dude is so small. So it like the quarterback position, who would have thought you got tricky decisions there, but you got them, going around at these other positions as well. So it's going to be an interesting week, and I think the general thinking for me on the surface, as far as if you're in a championship matchup this week, or even if you're in a third place matchup and you're trying to get your money back or whatever, allegiances go out the window, right? Like you've been stashing guys the whole year, hoping they'd pop off or whatever. Roschon Johnson was an example for me in the league. He's gone. Like I can't trust him to get it done this week. He was gone last week for me because, you're in the playoffs, so you have to start making those tough decisions. But now it's all or nothing. So all you care about is putting the best possible starting lineup out there. And you, at the end of the day, have to be able to live with it. So you're stashing on your bench doesn't mean anything anymore. It's all about who can I pick up, who can I start, where can I get any edge possible in my matchup to take home the gold. That's what Week 17 is all about.
Yeah, we have some questions rolling in here. We're going to start right here. Jared Fortin wants to know, he needs two, Breece Hall, Joe Mixon, or Nico Collins.
All right, we need to pick two. I love Nico Collins this week. CJ Stroud is confirmed to have cleared the concussion protocol. He'll be back for the Texans, and the way to beat the Titans is throwing the ball through the air. I know Nico Collins is back from his own injury last week. It didn't go well, but I expect bounce-back game for him there. It's a good matchup. As far as Breece Hall, Joe Mixon, it's tough to sit Breece Hall, I think, after what he did last week. However, not a good matchup tonight. It's the Browns in Cleveland. That defense has been stellar, very good in Cleveland. They've been good everywhere else across the board as well. So I think, in all honesty, I know the Chiefs defense is good as well, but I might lean Mixon there. I really might. As far as, I mean, I know it's a backup quarterback in both situations, but at least there's some continuity with the Bengals as far as having Browning in there. They got more weapons around him. They're going to have to run the ball to beat the Chiefs, I think, and kind of control things a little bit in terms of time and possession. Great way to not have Mahomes and the Chiefs offense figure it out is to keep the ball away from him and not give him opportunities to figure it out. That's close. I think I would ride with Mixon, though, this week.
Yeah, I think we both agree on Nico Collins. I think, like you said, it's going to be a tough decision between Breece Hall and Joe Mixon because you and I both love Breece Hall. I think he's probably the future of the Jets, more so than Garrett Wilson or any other person on that offense. But, like you said, it's a tough defense this week going against the Browns, who are first, I believe. Like, they're give up the 32nd most points to running backs. So I think for that reason, you have to go Joe Mixon. And who the Bengals are playing a shaky Chiefs defense, a shaky Chiefs team, if that's what we want to say right now, with how they are going on a very bad decline right now in their last couple games.
The one argument I think you can make for Breece Hall is that outside of Wilson, what other weapons do the Jets have, right? So he's going to get touches. That's not an issue. The only problem is we've seen a couple of weeks here in recent history where that offense has been so bad that even though he's gotten the touches, it hasn't led to anything. Joe Mixon is kind of splitting a little bit more with Chase Brown here these last few weeks. Brown, it looks like he's going to be healthy, ready to go, better than he was last week. In all honesty, it could come down to which of those two has a better chance of scoring a touchdown in a way. And I would lean Mixon on that front. Like I think the Browns are going to shut the Jets down pretty hard tonight.
Yeah, now here's another one. Browner 911. Hey, y'all. Pick one flex and one wide receiver. Chandler, Singletary, Nico, T, K9, Clyde, Zamir, Amari. And then for tight ends, Waller, Goddard, or Pitts.
Well, I like Ty Chandler. He was a start in the running back start-sit column this week. I like him over Devin Singletary, so we can rule him out. Love Nico Collins. I like T. Higgins. I'm big on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think I would take Ty Chandler over him. You can't beat a matchup for a running back as far as playing the Green Bay Packers is concerned right now. If this is Amari Cooper, he's ruled out. He's not playing tonight, so you can leave him out. So let's see here. We'll go Nico Collins as the receiver. And I think I would go Nico and T. Higgins.
I'm with you. I think T. Higgins is trying to get that contract for next year. He's balling out, and this is his time to get that money. And Nico Collins with C.J. Stroud coming back, it's going to be his time. Tight end, I'm probably going to lean Waller. Goddard, I don't trust this week. I don't trust Pitts either because he's very spotty in which weeks that Arthur Smith gets him the ball or not.
I want nothing to do with Kyle Pitts with the fantasy football championship on the line. And I would be going with Dallas Goedert. I think there's just too many questions as far as the Giants offense is concerned for me. You would think it'd be better with Tyrod, but, Waller did nothing last week. So, and for the flex wide receiver, I'd definitely go T. Higgins, I think. And then, it's kind of a toss-up, I guess, between Nico Collins and Ty Chandler, what you want to do there. I don't think you can go wrong either way. They both have good matchups. Collins is getting the bump from Stroud returning. I think Ty Chandler is going to bounce back. Like, he's not going to be as bad as he was last week going against the top run defense in the league, statistically wise. So the Packers are like 30th, I think, in yards allowed per game. So
now we got another one. Randy Miller, Jerome Ford, or Chuba Hubbard?
I want nothing to do with Jerome Ford, so I think I would take my chances with the Chuba Hubbard questionable tag. That's just me. The Panthers are kind of committed to running the ball, I think, right now, a little bit more, too, just taking pressure off Bryce Young. Now, it didn't work last week, and Young did okay throwing it around a little bit in garbage time, but there's just – Jerome Ford, you need a touchdown to get anything you feel good about. Like, they're splitting the carries, and the Browns are – while the Panthers have shifted to a more run-heavy offensive approach, the Browns have shifted in the complete opposite direction to Joe Flacco gunslinger, and it's just kind of like knocked the fantasy value, whatever there was, for Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt both. And they're both seeing snaps still. So I would go Chuba here. I'd take the chance. Let me see if I can find anything about him just to get a better idea. Do you agree with me, or what you thinking?
I didn't at first because I hate the Panthers offense right now, but at the same time, Jerome Ford, he might lose some more carries tonight to Kareem Hunt and they might get a little bit of a boost because Amari Cooper is out. So there's that chance too. That being said, I think you gotta go Chuba right now, despite him being questionable.
Yeah, and he's a limited participant in practice already, so that's a good sign. I think, by now, Miles Sanders might very well be available. I don't know how big your league is, but if you want to go out and grab him as an insurance policy, I know it hasn't been pretty, or if there's something else, if you have other options as an insurance, just in case. But I think if Hubbard's already a limited participant, he should be good to go. They're probably just managing him. Hamstring injury, that would make sense. So.
Yeah, Miles Sanders screwed me over in your league. So how the hell I'm in the championship, I have no idea. Like, it's just been bullshit after bullshit. But here I am.
And all I got to do is root for the Panthers this week because half your team's Jaguars. So.
All right, so we prefer Chandler over Clyde and Zamir if they are starters. Yeah.
Yes. I would go in this order. Ty Chandler, you can't beat the matchup. And then I would look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably as the second option there. And why am I blanking on who the Raiders play? Throw me a bone. The Colts. Oh, man. If Josh Jacobs is out, does that change him and Edwards-Helaire?
Yes, because I think Zamir White is a clear RB1 if Josh Jacobs is out. And it's more the if you go to the Chiefs, I think if Pacheco's available, he's still going to split carries. And I think Pacheco's fine.
Pacheco's got a clear concussion protocol in 5 days. I don't think that's happening, just with how the concussion protocol has been this year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I thought he had like a leg injury. That's why he went on the table. Oh, he's got concussion.
No. Yeah. He lost his helmet and bareheaded, got kneed right in the head. So
I did see that. I'm dumb. I think I still go CEH over Zamir White.
I would go Zamir White over Edwards-Helaire. The Colts are giving up the third most fantasy points per game PPR to running backs. The Colts defense is not good. So I'm going to go Zamir White there. And, oh man, as far as Zamir White or Ty Chandler,
I'm going Ty Chandler overall. That's just, I'll get my point out there.
I think I'm with you. I think. I might change my mind in 5 minutes, but.
Yeah, you do. All right, we got to move on. Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins.
T. Higgins.
Browns defense too good. T. Higgins is trying to get that money.
Yeah, if you can avoid Jets, I think, tonight. I mean, obviously, there's going to be scenarios where people have to play Breece Hall. There's going to be scenarios where you have to play Garrett Wilson. You know, you're kind of riding with what got you there or whatever, and you spent draft capital on them. So if they're your best available, you got to suck it up and deal with it. But T. Higgins for sure, as far as matchup and all that's concerned between the two of them.
Jets, Colts, or Ravens D? I gotta go Colts defense. The Ravens play the Dolphins. I as much as I think the Dolphins are pretty fraudulent, they have a pretty good offense. Jets have played the Browns, and they have just been teeing off against teams the last couple weeks here. So by default, I think I go Colts.
It's funny because I'm still debating in my head Zamir White or Ty Chandler because the Colts defense stinks. Like, they are not good. But in terms of fantasy, I do think the Colts have easily the most favorable matchup. Like, the Raiders didn't complete a pass for the last
first quarter.
3 quarters of that game last week. I think the Ravens are going to shut down Miami pretty well. I will say that. Like, I do. Yeah. Baltimore has kind of had some letdowns though after like big wins this year. Like they played sloppy against the Cardinals after a big win earlier in the year, things like that. I like them in that spot. The Jets defense is good, but I'm still not convinced they're as good as a lot of people say they are. Amari Cooper being out provides them with a big boost. But I'm going to trust your flag. I will say the Colts here. I think the Raiders are the most likely to give you a turnover or two.
All right, who is this guy sitting? Brees, JT, or Kupp? I don't think you can sit Kupp. I think that he's the one guy you have to have starting there. So it's come down to Brees or JT, and I think I got to lean JT. If that's Jonathan Taylor.
I would assume that's Jonathan Taylor, yes. I'm sitting Brees Hall, though, of the three that you put out there.
Wait, did I say sit JT? I meant start him. That's my fault.
Yeah, no. Who's he sitting between Brees Hall, Jonathan Taylor, or Cooper Kupp? I would be sitting Brees Hall here.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. I don't think that's honestly super close between where I would say Taylor is ranked or projected this week versus Brees Hall. And I know that's crazy to say after Brees Hall went off last week, but Washington, far cry from Cleveland.
All right, now let's quickly get to the stardom sit-ems that Bruno didn't write this week. Someone else wrote the tight ends one at least, in Henry John. Do you want to say who you have starting this week for tight ends, sir?
The starts for tight ends, I had Gerald Everett in there with the Chargers. This is not me sitting here saying he's going to blow up for 100 yards or something crazy this week. But if you're in a pinch, TJ Hockenson probably not going to be playing. Things like that this week. You got injuries. You've been streaming the position all week long, and that's where you're riding into the championship game. I like Gerald Everett this week. They're playing the Broncos. Statistically, from a fantasy points allowed standpoint, Broncos the worst defense against the position. They're over a point worse than the next worst team, which is the Bengals. So that's fun to throw out there. And Everett has seen an uptick in targets here, like with more consistency. I don't know if the change from Herbert to Easton 6 had anything to do with it, perhaps. But he has seen 8 targets in 3 straight games now. His yardage, again, it's not going to be massive just because of the role he plays in the offense. But I think that target trend is something you can count on here, especially in the favorable matchup. So I like Everett with the Chargers. And then the other one that I threw in there was Chig Okonkwo with the Titans. Kind of the same story. He's been seeing more targets here these last few weeks. I think he has at least 6 in 3 of the last 4 games. So he's carved out a role in this offense. And it's kind of the same story. Titans offense is not great. If he gets into the end zone, that's great for you, but it hasn't happened much this year. But if you just need a kind of a stable floor at the position and you're not sure where else to turn, if you're in a tight spot at tight end, which I know it's not rare for a lot of people to be there, especially this time of year, guys are dropping with injuries and such. I think Okonkwo is going to be a pretty safe play this week to get you something.
Yeah,
on the fence too, and the honorable mention for the starts in the article was Tucker Kraft with the Packers. I think he's been seeing targets. He's been doing enough. I think the Packers, unless it's just a Jordan Love shit show, should be able to throw on the Vikings at least a little bit. And if Brian Flores is bringing the house, there could be some intermediate throws there to the tight end as well. So he's another guy you could look at there.
Yeah, I have Gerald Everett starting in a Dynasty League championship this week over Darren Waller. I think that with Easton Stick starting, you're going to see a lot of checkdowns and whatnot because he's kind of younger player. You're going to need that checkdown and whatnot. And the Broncos kept the 32nd most points to tight ends. Worst in the league. So there's that. Chig. I mean, like you said, catching 6 of his 7 targets for 63 to touchdown last week. That's 18 points in a PPR. So
this is his best game of the year. I think
Yeah.
in one of the leagues, it was like the first time he'd even scored double-digit PPR points. But hey, catching a touchdown pass from Derrick Henry, how many guys can say they did that in their career? Not many. And the target share, the target distribution is kind of what I'm looking at. I don't really care if it's Tannehill or Levis. If he's back in there this week, I think Okonkwo's role here is kind of safe. So if he's getting 5-6 targets, he's going to get you something.
Now, on the flip side of this, we have the sits, and unfortunately for me, it's bad on both accounts. You have Kyle Pitts sitting against the Bears, and you have Dalton Kincaid sitting against the Patriots.
Yeah, I guess I kind of unknowingly dissed both your pro and your college team there, but Dalton Kincaid, his role has fallen off in the Bills' offense ever since the bye week. The last 2 weeks, he's played under 50% of the team's offensive snaps. I think he's only scored like 8 fantasy points total in the last 3 games combined. So I'm not looking at him, and the Patriots are one of the best defenses when it comes to fantasy points allowed to tight ends as well. So I think Belichick's going to have a plan defensively there. The Patriots showed last week they haven't quit.
Just throwing that in there.
Yeah, they haven't quit on the season as far as defense goes. Like, this team's seriously a competent quarterback and competent offensive line play away from being right in the thick of things, and a very average AFC as far as I'm concerned. So steering away from Kincaid. And then as far as Kyle Pitts goes, I guess what it boils down to for me is, are you really going to trust him to score a touchdown and be the Kyle Pitts everyone thought he was going to be with your fantasy championship on the line? I'm not. I think Taylor Heineke is a bump to the Falcons' passing attack as a whole, but it's not that much of a bump. I really want nothing to do with Atlanta Falcons players when I'm trying to play for all the money here in Week 17. So I'm going to leave Pitts alone this week. There's too many other better options. Like, I would take Everett over him in a heartbeat. I'd take Chig over him in a heartbeat. I'd probably, let's see here. Let's get wild. Try to get wild. I'd probably trust Cade Otton a little more than Kyle Pitts this week, if I'm being completely honest. Like, he's had 3 receptions the last 3 weeks. He's only had a couple nice point outings because he scored a touchdown. So, yeah, I'm good. I'll leave Kyle Pitts to anyone else who wants to go down that road this week.
All right, I'll start with Pitts. I have to trust him. He's the only tight end I have on my roster for one of my leagues for a championship. I will trust him. I don't care. Gator, I'll trust the Florida Gator. I don't care. Flip side. Dalton Kincaid, yeah, I think you're right. We have definitely seen a decline in Kincaid. He only had 2 targets against the Cowboys, and he didn't catch either one of them last week. I don't remember anything he did. He might have had 1 catch for a first down against the Chargers, and I think it goes back to Dawson Knox's return. Is he's seeing a decline in snaps, like you've said. So Dalton Kincaid might be expendable for now, but I think when you look towards the future, maybe they're going to try doing more 2 tight end sets, or you might see Dawson Knox go away, which I hope not. I love Dawson Knox too. I love me some tight ends, but that's out of context. That's a bad quote.
I'm just going to let that one hang there, although I will say I like Kincaid's future. I loved him in college. So I think, too, like, the Bills have kind of taken on the philosophy of running the football a little bit more. Like, they are able to do that this year with James Cook, actually have what would be the word, a normal or a conventional running game. It's not just Josh Allen. And so I think that's probably hurt somebody like Kincaid there, too. But Dennis needs help. You got to help Dennis.
Yeah, I was getting to it. I was just wait. I was going to wait until after we were done with the start sit because that's how we usually do it. Okay, help please. Start 2. PPR, Bijan, JT, Breece Hall. Matchups all bad. Scared of Raiders. Arthur Smith. Can you get the details? Going back and forth. Same with Nico Collins and Devontae Smith. Okay, Arthur Smith, we hate. He should be fired off the street into the sun. I don't care. Fuck Arthur Smith. Raiders defense, are they good? We don't know. Probably not. So I think Jonathan Taylor is one. I think your matchup is between Breece Hall, which he's facing the Cleveland defense, and Bijan, who is facing his own head coach because his head coach is an ass. Flip a coin. I don't know.
I'm going Jonathan Taylor and Bijan of the two. I think Bijan still has, enough volume there to get stuff done. Tyler Algier had a nice game last week, but you really didn't see that many touches. The Colts defense, the Raiders defense, they've been playing better, but they can still be had, I think, for sure. I think last week was more an example of Patrick Mahomes just having a terrible game than the Raiders defense being, some juggernaut. They had a great game plan. I'll give them that for sure. But, yeah, I would be going Taylor and Bijan here of the two. And if we're talking bad coaches, like Robert Saleh needs to go too. So that guy doesn't have a clue.
But you're figuring Nico. Okay, I'm going JT, and I'll go Brees. I'll throw the dart. I think Brees probably has the higher floor, and Bijan the higher ceiling. I think, if that makes sense. Am I saying it right?
I don't know if I would even give Brees Hall that. Like, I get what you're trying to say, but I think the floor could be absolutely terrible for Brees Hall tonight, given the matchup. Kind of like we saw a couple weeks ago when he had like 2.5 points or something. Like, it could be one of those games very easily in my eyes. So I think I would argue that Bijan's got both the higher ceiling and the higher floor, and that's kind of why I like him a little bit more. I'm just looking here to see what he did. In the first game against the Saints, too, he did very well. Only played 63% of the snaps, but 91 yards rushing on 16 carries and a score, 3 catches, 32 yards. Another score. Obviously, the touchdowns you're not banking on continuing, but that's the kind of volume and the production that, I'm fully on board with Bijan there over Brees Hall.
I'm still going Brees. I don't care. I love me some Brees. I like Bijan, but I hate Arthur Smith too much. I don't trust him. Flip side, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith. I think it's Nico Collins. Devontae Smith is very hit or miss. Nico Collins, even with Tank Dell, when he was healthy, Nico Collins was still putting up some good points there. So, and now with Tank Dell out, CJ Stroud coming back, Nico Collins is probably going to get more catches.
Yeah, Devontae Smith, he's been doing okay. Now last week, of course, the touchdown saved him a little bit. He's had at least 5 targets each of the last 6 games. He's targeted regularly. And honestly, if you asked me this question 10 weeks ago, I would have been like, oh, the Eagles probably would be ahead by 20 points midway through the third quarter against the Cardinals, so they're not really going to be throwing the ball. But now I'm not so sure. And so I think I would have to go Devontae Smith of the two. The Cardinals are kind of mid-pack as far as fantasy points allowed to receivers. We've already talked up Nico Collins. I don't think you can go wrong with either one, but I would lean Devontae Smith here. Maybe I'm doing it just to be McAdoo's the little devil on his shoulder. I don't know, but that's the way I would go.
Remind me to get back to the Cardinals talk after this next question here. Half PPR, Gus Edwards, Jerome Ford. I hate Jerome Ford. He should not be the starting back for the Browns. I'm going Gus Edwards.
Yeah, and half PPR almost makes Gus Edwards that much better. Like, you're not expecting him to catch passes, but if you're only getting half point for passes caught, that negates half of the whole Browns air raid deal and Jerome Ford catching passes. Don't necessarily love either one this week, but I would take Gus Edwards over Jerome Ford.
All right, now going back to my question I had earlier. Well, this is what I have. Do I start Patrick Mahomes or Kyler Murray? Patrick Mahomes has looked very mediocre the last couple weeks here. Kyler Murray put up 20 points last week against the Bears defense. He's coming up against the Eagles defense, who's given up the most points in the NFL to quarterbacks. Is this time to pull the trigger in the championship game and go Kyler Murray over Patrick Mahomes?
Not for me, just because I think the Eagles are better than the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals defense is all that great. So I would go Mahomes. He can't be worse than he was last week. So you don't want to buy into the fact that, oh, he just played horribly and just bench him out of sheer panic. Like, I think you still have to ride with Mahomes of those two. If you were presenting me with a Josh Allen or, Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson or something like that, then sure. But I don't think Kyler Murray has that much better of a matchup. The Eagles are nice for receivers to play against in terms of fantasy, but what receivers do the Cardinals really have for Kyler Murray to take advantage? And I don't see the Cardinals running the football, and I think that kind of includes Kyler Murray. Like, he's not just going to be able to run ragdoll and improvise against the Eagles front. So
I also have James Conner starting this week in that lineup. So, but here, we got another question. We favor James Cook and Brees over Zamir, Clyde, and Chandler, right? And did I hear you guys say Everett over Waller because he's in waivers? I think we both said Everett over Waller. I don't remember. Or no, yeah, I definitely did because I have Everett over Waller in one of my lineups.
Everett over Waller, yep. For sure. James Cook,
yes, RB1 on that list. I think
James Cook would be ranked the highest for me. I would still, I think, go Brees Hall over Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Ty Chandler. So, yes. Yeah, now that I'm rereading that, yes. James Cook and Brees Hall over the other three. It's tough with Zamir White. Like, I think I could make a case for Zamir White and Brees Hall maybe to be one and the same because Zamir does have a good matchup, but we don't know if he's going to be the starter or not at this juncture. As far as I last knew, I can double check that real quick, but
I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Zamir, and then Chandler, or both of them. I'm just trying to think. Do I want Chandler over Brees this week? I don't remember what I said earlier. I think this is like the fourth or fifth time we talked about it. It's been a lot. We've talked about Brees, Chandler, Zamir, Clyde, and I guess I would go Brees Hall over Ty Chandler.
So Josh Jacobs did not practice again today, and it was just a walkthrough. So I would say that probably leads you to think Zamir White's going to be playing. I would still go James Cook. Oh, man. James Cook and then Brees Hall or Zamir White. I guess the risk you're taking is Brees Hall plays tonight. So to be safe, I'm going to go Brees Hall. If you want to take the chance, which Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Ty Chandler, they're not bad, backup options if Josh Jacobs does somehow come back and you decide to sit Brees tonight. But in terms of just straight up where I would align them, I would start Brees tonight. Close, though.
Yeah. I have
kudos to you for making moves to have all these options because 3 of these backs weren't even relevant as little as 3-4 weeks ago for the most part. And so, you've put yourself in a position to have options. And so I think that's great. Probably why you're playing for a championship or hopefully playing for a championship this week. So kudos to you.
I have the next question has, can you help with IDP? I cannot. So if Henry can, good on him when he can answer a question that you have, but I have nothing about the IDPs.
I can do very limited IDP, so if you want to fire a question, I'll give you my best shot. But
while he types that out, we'll go to the starts for wide receivers, and I know one that you had on there, and now I'm getting ads. Terry McLaurin, a guy who's been on the sit side for the last couple weeks, thanks to Bruner. He's a start versus the Niners defense. And we have Adam Thielen on the start side against the Jags.
Let's see here. I'm just looking at what Dennis said. Linebackers, we got Quincy Williams, Levante David. Let me do some digging on this.
All right. Well, he digs. I'll give my take.
You can go over my my takes on those. Like, obviously, kind of some off the wall starts, if you will. Especially, I feel like Terry McLaurin. A lot of people are going to be shying away from that, but it's a Niners secondary thing.
You shouldn't shy away from Terry McLaurin because he's getting Brissett, and it's not going to be Sam Howell this week. And like we learned 2 weeks ago, Jacoby Brissett and Terry McLaurin actually good pairing. McLaurin had caught a lot of balls for a touchdown against the Rams. Definitely a lot of points. So definitely with a full game, Jacoby Brissett and Terry McLaurin could put up some points even against the Niners defense. Well, then again, the Niners defense just got exposed a little bit on Monday night against the Ravens. Adam Thielen. I don't know. He was consistent at the start, and then he dropped off. And now he's playing a Jags defense that they've been coming down a little bit. So, I mean, it could be a good play this week. Sit side. Deontay Johnson. Son of a bitch. Deontay Johnson versus the Seahawks. Drake London versus the Bears. Yes, I think I'll start with Drake London. Very inconsistent. Arthur Smith. We've said it over and over and over and over on the show. It's like it's a repeat. It's a repeating cycle every week for us. We don't know what's going on in Arthur Smith's head. We start Pitts, we start Jonnu, we start Bijan, and we get screwed. It doesn't matter what Falcons offensive player you put in there, we always get screwed. And then Deontay Johnson. He gets the targets. But the unfortunate part is you just saw last week George Pickens pick apart the Bengals defense, and maybe they're going to start going his way. I'm still trusting Deontay Johnson this week because I have no other options really at wide receiver. Maybe a pickup Rashid Shaheed. Hope for something there. But for now, I'm going to trust Deontay Johnson. Now I'm going to hurry up, and I'm going to... Can you look that up?
Yeah, just to answer Dennis's linebackers question, Roquan Smith popped up on the injury report. He said he's good to go. I know you're concerned about him and Okereke as far as the matchups. I think it would be one of those two for me still. I think consistent play there's some linebackers who are consistent as far as, my limited IDP playing experience. I'm in one league and we only start like one guy at each spot. So I've kind of just been riding with Zaire Franklin all year because he just gets tackles all the time. Okereke had a little dip, but I think you can count on him after a good showing last week. It'd be one of those two for me. If you really are scared off by the matchups, probably look at Quincy Williams tonight. But I would rank Roquan top, Okereke 2, and then I'd say Quincy Williams would be my third option there. So don't use my word as gospel. I'm not an IDP expert yet. Get there one day. But that would be how I would rank them. So, all
right, Colts defense, Niners defense. I'm taking the Niners defense.
Yeah. You're playing Washington. I hope the best for Jacoby Brissett because I feel like he's better than at least 6 or 7 starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now. But the offensive line that he's going to be playing behind is a joke. So while Terry McLaurin made the wide receiver start article, I can go back to that and touch on that here quick now. My whole theory with that is if Brissett has time, McLaurin's more than capable of beating the Niners defensive backs. Like the back end of that San Francisco defense is that team's Achilles heel. Not great. So that's why I think he can put up points, especially if garbage time's involved, whatever. I'm assuming Washington's going to be trailing. But overall, I would take the 49ers defense here. The Colts defense probably can be good for fantasy this week, but that unit is so bad in general that I'd rather not hitch my wagon to it if I have a better option available, which I would say you do, Randy. So.
Yeah, and to try to move this along because we are almost over, so this would be like let's say give a 3-minute warning here. Start them, set them running backs, just so we can because we gotta get going here a little bit. Start Ty Chandler versus the Packers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus the Bengals. This is a guy. These are two guys we've talked out at not really ad nauseum, but a lot tonight with the running backs and who we might need to start.
Yeah, I like Ty Chandler a lot against the Packers. I don't know how you can't. Green Bay's run defense is a sieve. And I know the guys on Lombardi Sweep talk a lot about how that team just does not have toughness right now. And stopping the run, you need to bone up and have toughness. So I like Ty Chandler. I don't think Alexander Madison's a threat. Last week wasn't good, but it was against a much better run defense. And what else did you ask me? The other guy in the article?
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about him too. Isaiah Pacheco, I'm not expecting him to be there. Jerick McKinnon's obviously not there. Only other active back on the Chiefs roster is La'Mical Pirine. Edwards-Helaire missed practice today because he had an illness, but he'll be fine. It's more so just he's going to get touches. He's going to get work than it is. I'm a big Clyde Edwards-Helaire believer, but I don't know how you don't have him in the RB2 range this week, just given the opportunity that's in front of him, which he took full advantage of a few weeks ago too, when those guys were both out. So,
yeah, Helaire is going to see an uptick in carries and touches and whatnot. Ty Chandler, Alexander Madison's an MIA pretty much a whole year, if not just like the last 5 weeks or so. So definitely Ty Chandler is going to be RB1 there. And then flip side, the sits, Devin Singletary, the guy who pretty much has taken over for the Texans backfield over Dameon Pierce since Pierce got hurt, and Devon Achane. I'll start on Achane. He's been ass since he got back from his last injury, and I finally benched him in both the leagues, your league and my league, where it's like there's no point in starting him anymore after you get 4 points. Raheem Mostert is clear-cut number one there in Miami, and Achane is just picking up scraps at this point.
Yeah, both of them have injuries. I think Mostert's a little more concerning as far as the injury front goes right now compared to Achane, so definitely monitor that. But in general, just Miami Dolphins running backs, like it seems like every year there's 3 of them. Like Jeff Wilson's still there too. He's getting a few snaps, a few carries from both of them. So with the championship on the line, I'm not hitching my wagon to Achane. Kind of goes back to what we said off the top. Like you have all the hype coming in as a rookie. We've seen flashes. We think this guy can be great, but right now, 1 week, we're not in a position where I can trust that. So that's why he's a sit. Singletary is kind of a little bit of a divergent thinking process, I think, for me. I really think the Texans are going to throw the ball against Tennessee. That's the way to beat them. Singletary did really well the first time they played. Didn't do so hot these past couple of weeks or last week for sure, at least with Case Keenum out. Of course, Houston fell behind, so it kind of took running the ball, out of the game script. But I don't know. I think in terms of, if you're looking at him to be an RB2, Singletary's a flex, totally fine. That's cool. Not going to be a ton more better options out there. But in terms of where he's ranked, I think consensus-wise, right at that RB2 borderline, I would put him below that this week. And so that's why he kind of made the sit based on where he's ranked for me. So,
all right, one last question, then we'll wrap things up here. Pick 2 in standard, 6 points per TD. Austin Eckler versus Broncos, Breece Hall versus Browns, Jaden Reed versus Vikings, Brandon Cooks versus Titans, Marcus Robinson versus Giants, or Zamir White versus Colts. 2 running backs at most. I would say Jaden Reed, but he is questionable, and right now I don't know if he's going to play this week. He's come back to the practice so far. I think he's in a limited role, but that's something to keep an eye on.
I like Jaden Reed actually a lot this week, and I do think he's going to play. Let's see here. Standard, so PPR is not factor. So you're really looking for guys who are going to find the end zone. Okay. So Breece Hall scoring a touchdown tonight. I mean, I hope he does because I need him to in the league, but not going to bank on it. So I would look at Austin Eckler here, I think. Don't know what the state of the Broncos is going to be. Are they just going to be done, now that their season's basically over? Gagged it away last week. I don't think you can go wrong with Zamir White if Josh Jacobs is out. Demarcus Robinson's been great. Do I trust him? No. With a title on the line. Brandon Cooks, same thing.
I am.
I would say Eckler. Eckler, Amir White, assuming the Jacob stuff comes to fruition for him, would be my top 2. Jaden Reed would be 3rd. Breece Hall, if you have to do it. But same thing, like you're playing him tonight, and so then you're taking that option away for yourself. So sometimes I think it's better to wait in terms of Thursday Night Football. Like, I'd rather, whatever happens on TNF happens. Yeah, you're going to kick yourself. But sometimes I just think it's beneficial to wait. And in this instance, I might look to do that. So, because, I mean, let's be real. Can we count on the Jets to score anything tonight? I'm not sure. So,
give me the 3 receivers: Reed, Cooks, Robinson. I will take my chance on Jaden Reed. Probably is what I'm doing.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I'm laying it all on the table right now. I trust my boys in the wide receiver room. So there's that. And then again, I said that was the last question, but this one's, we'll end it on this: cheesecake or pie?
Pie.
Give me cheesecake.
Cheesecake, unless it's cherry pie or good pumpkin pie. Somebody ruined the pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving this year, so that was disappointing. But
I'm your cherry pie
with whipped cream on top.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Okay, any last words here, Henry?
Homemade whipped cream at that. No, good luck to everybody this
Jesus
week.
Christ.
Championship week, if you're still going. Congrats to you on making it this far. Let's bring home the gold, baby. Let's do it. And check out the articles on Flurry Sports. Zach's rankings are up there. Zach Bruner, that is. You got some other good stuff over there to check out. Start sit-ems. And there'll be more coming, I'm sure, the next couple of days leading up to the games over the weekend. So let's bring home the glory. Let's do it.
All right, don't forget to join the Fantasy Football Committee Facebook group if you haven't already. If you are in there, give Zach Espinosa some shit for not being on the show tonight like he was supposed to. I think he voted me because he knew I was going to talk all the shit. Where are you, Zach? I beat your ass, man. Only by 4, though. It really wasn't anything. But,
he might still be drunk from Texas State's big bowl win the other night, too. So that could be it.
That's
First
fair.
bowl game in school history, and they won it. They dominated. So
yeah, good job, Texas State. Way to go.
That might be an excuse.
More than 3 of my teams can say this year. Thanks, Florida and Buffalo. That's gonna do it. Thank you guys for watching. This may or may not be the last episode this year. We'll have to talk to Bruner next week and find out. But thank you guys for tuning in again.